Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Dan Sehn of Thunder Zone and Argo Comics. How you doing, Dan?
How's it going? All right.
Pretty good. Hey, Dan, would it be fair to say that you've been doing this like longer than any other independent comic book guy?
Oh no, no. I think yeah, Antarctic Press has been
Oh yeah, yeah.
going longer. AC Comics,
Well, I consider what I'm talking about like I don't know, like
like
if
garage indies.
right, yeah, like
They
I don't
call
know,
that like a regular guy just doing his own thing
yeah,
without like mainstream distribution. Then yeah, perhaps.
yeah. That's what I meant. Like without the mainstream distribution, that's a good way to put it. I so we'll start at the beginning. Dan and I shopped at the same comic book store back starting at junior high school, right? Our comic book store was the Incredible Pulp, and you even remember. I think it's funny that Earth Two Larry and Earth One Larry, but the original Pulp was owned by a guy named Larry, and then sold to another guy named Larry. And it's funny that you used to call him Earth One and Earth Two Larry.
Yeah, I think we said that on the last show. I didn't
Right,
actually
right. I've been thinking
know
about that a lot.
Golden Larry.
Yeah.
I didn't know Golden Age Larry. I
Oh,
only
you
knew
did meet him. Yeah.
no Silver Age Larry.
Yeah.
That's
See,
what I know.
so and Larry became a friend. He doesn't live too far from me. I ended up working there, and I remember you coming in. You were always a quiet guy buying your books. Didn't didn't cause no drama, and that seems to be you in a nutshell, right? You've been
Yeah, regularly with Cameron quite often.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, I guess we were Wednesday Warriors, as they used to call them.
right, yeah, and then yeah, I remember seeing you at comic conventions. Eternal Con. I used to see you there all the time. I'm trying to remember where else I saw you. And so, how long have you been doing this now?
Well, Argo Comics, my own imprint, that's about a little over 20 years. I had started probably 2 years earlier, being published in like Dime Store Productions and Angry Dog Press. So yeah, I was published earlier in other people's publications, but then yeah, Argo Comics has been over 20 years. Uh,
Yes,
so
I didn't know you started working in other people's comics.
yeah, I did a few. I mean, they were Argo Comics characters. They would eventually become Argo Comics characters, but yeah, I had a few gigs, doing indie work for a couple other publishers.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I always thought you started out, but that makes sense. And Argo Five is your flagship title, right? Which
That's
is
correct. Yeah.
yeah. How many issues you up to now?
Uh, I'm lettering issue 48.
Oh my God, 48 issues. That's for a guy without mainstream distribution, doing it all by yourself. That's unheard of. So I got to give you credit, but you're also doing a million other comics.
Yeah, there's been a variety of other titles that I've been, working on. And even prior to Argo 5, there was the Argo Comics Anthology, which was a 6 issue miniseries. I got up to issue 16 of Sorority of Power. That was an Argo Comics title. And then a number of these miniseries that have been coming out through Thunder Zone, uh, which, again, is not just my comics. It's an imprint that has a bunch of different creators. I like to think of it like early Image, where they had a bunch of different studios. They were all on the same earth, but they were, creating their own books and crossing over as they see fit. So we've crossed over some with Thunder Guard, bringing some of those creators together. But there's more of that on the way, where we're just going to kind of sprinkle the fact that all these characters are on the same earth.
Right. So Thunder Zone is like an umbrella within your company that is other people get to write and create them, and then you just publish them. Do you write Thunder Zones also?
I have my own titles in Thunder Zone.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just
Yeah.
other people. I thought you were Argo, and then you were doing it for. Okay, so I was wrong in my assumption.
Yeah, no, with Thunder Zone, like I said, it's a completely separate universe from Argo Comics, but I do have my own characters in there. Like Nature Man is mine, Big House Blues is mine, Sumo Boy is mine, Weirdo is mine. So those are my characters, but in that shared Earth
Okay,
where Marshall Strong and Supercross and Subject Alpha, Dragon Manx, Meta, who is a pro wrestling character based on a real life pro wrestler. He makes his own book, and he's over in Singapore, and we
oh, okay,
publish it.
oh, okay. You want to bring up your campaign? We'll talk about it.
Sure.
Sure.
I'll,
So I while he's doing that, I had my buddy Mike on the other day, and Mike is making the Marshall Strong comic, and I, I love the Marshall Strong because that's a character. So I'll start at the beginning. My friend Mike, who makes Marshall Strong, is my buddy who taught me how to play villains vigilantes back, geez, in the golden oldie days of the 80s. Me and him were little kids in grammar school, found out about a role-playing game where instead of being warriors and wizards, you were superheroes and supervillains. And I fell in love with it. I'd never played any other role-playing games since. I've always played the villains vigilantes. And we made a bunch of characters, but Marshall Strong is Mike's longest running character. So he's played that character since 2000. So maybe 2001, doesn't matter. But for 25 years, that's been his main character, and I ran the game, and he's made his comic based on his memories of our adventures. We're getting old, and our memories kind of change. So it's fun. So Marshall Strong is also in My Heroic Tales comics. So Colonel Strong. So I just getting a kick out of it. Me and Mike, well, Mike decided to make a comic book years and years ago, but then he got married, had kids, life got in the way. And then I decided to make a comic, but we weren't talking as much. And coincidentally, we started making our comics at the same time. So I was like, oh man, if only we had communicated better. But luckily Dan was there to help out Mike publish his comics. So Mike says he's already done with all 6 issues, right?
Yeah, in actuality, I think we were talking about him publishing. I had a table at New York Comic Con, and he was at my table picking my brain, and I had hooked him up with his artist Elton Tomasi, who had drawn some books for myself already, and then Alan Faria, who drew an issue of Argo 5, ended up being the colorist. So it was good to at least have a reference because I'd been publishing for a little while by then, and they knew that I always came through with payment. You know how it is when you're dealing with new artists. They're like, is this guy just gonna take the pages and run or something? So it was fortuitous that we were
Oscar
able to.
Crano, Oscar Crano, right? He did.
Yeah, sure. He's done some illustrations for myself as well.
Yeah, I'm working with Oscar's my main colorist, and Oscar's also going to be one of the artists on a series called a comic, a one shot called Eddie is Doomed. So I love Oscar. His coloring is so freaking good. So freaking So here is what's going on here? I think we got the wrong page.
Share the wrong screen. That's apparently looks like. Yeah. Let's see.
I mean, if you want, I could click on it and bring it up.
I'll try one more time. Let's see.
So we're going to bring up. So you just use Kickstarter,
right? No, I have a Indie Planet store, and we have like different titles that are exclusively Indie Planet. So I have like Thunder Zone titles that go through Kickstarter, and Thunder Zone titles that just go through Indie Planet. but I don't cross those over because then it gets a little confusing for people. And let's see.
Is Indie Planet a print on demand, or is that what is Indie Planet? I've been hearing so much about it.
Yeah, Indie Planet is a print on demand. They're a printer. Let's see. I'm just trying to get this. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah, they are the printer. And as Mike was saying when he was on the show, they will ship it out. So it cuts down on the time as far as the books going to me and then me putting everything in envelopes. Rather than do something like that, we just have them printed and then shipped out directly from the printer. So Kablam is the printer. Indie Planet is their online store. So the Indie Planet isn't really involved.
So Indie Planet is a part of Kablam.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So basically, it's quite helpful in the fact that every time someone's ordering a book from the Indie Planet store, I have all the Argo 5, all my Argo comics there. I'm not like running out to the post office with an envelope every day.
That's what I got to do. Yeah. I wish it was every day.
Mail it out. They just get the order, they print it, or they digitally fulfill it. And it goes, directly from them to the customer.
Cool.
So
that's something to think about next time.
Yeah,
Because I'm a one-man show, and I fulfill them. I'm in this chair. I got a scale over here, a Rolo printer that prints out the labels and everything, and then I just go down to the post office. They got a box. I just drop it in the box. So whether it's open or closed, I can mail stuff. But
yeah, no,
like it's nice now when you get like a drips and drabs. It's fine. I do it on the way to work. But when you're fulfilling a campaign, man, it took me like a month and a half of doing nothing after work, just filling out orders. The first time it was a lot of fun because it was exciting. The second time I was like, maybe next time.
I've heard people, they do have a tough time with that. But yeah, luckily, like I said, Kablam, we'll put them in Gemini mailers. They're, quite safe and going directly from them to the backer. So cuts down on any dings or anything that might have made it from them to me.
I forgot to hit a couple of buttons. I forgot to hit save, and so 10 orders got shipped twice. And unfortunately, one of them was to Europe. So what Dave Brink was like, I got it twice. I was like, well, don't send it back. Give it away to somebody. So, but I forgot to hit it. That's on me. And only 2 returned to senders. 2 people moved, and I can't get in touch with them.
Oh.
Do you ever have that? I mean, fulfilling people, they come back to you?
No, I haven't really encountered that one yet. I mean, I think there's different functions on Kickstarter as far as being able to, if you're sending the
right, they have to
later, giving the people the option to update their address.
Right. Well, I do that too. I send out a message. I'm about to start shipping, so update your address. But some people don't.
Yeah, actually, when I moved, I was more on the receiving end of that because I back a number of books myself. I'm a super backer. So I had, I think, a book mailed to the old address.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But that was one that was fulfilled years later. And I think I actually DM'd the publisher my new address, but he didn't go through with that. I know I did get those books somehow.
I first heard about Kickstarter because through board games. You see, I got a Dice Tower shirt on. I'm into board, and first off, you're never late. So let's get rid of this. So far I'm not late. You're not late. We're on time. But there's a couple of people that are late. But board games are late. I'm talking 7, 8, 9, sometimes 10 years late for a board game. I guess a board game is more complicated, I guess, than a comic book. And I've had shipments drop to my old address in Queens, and luckily the person who owns my apartment is a good guy and found out 3 times he had to call me up. Dude, I got a big box out here that's for you. I said, I'll take it in, but you got to come and get it. Yeah. But you don't have to worry about that with Thunder Zone. You ship right away. I'm surprised. Well, you're a pro. You've been doing this for 22 years. I can't believe it.
Yeah, well, I try to keep it moving in the fact that I don't want to have a campaign prior to having the print order into the printer. So I hold myself accountable for that.
Right. So only one active campaign at a time is what you're saying?
There'll be only one active campaign, but I usually won't activate the next one until that one is, again, the print order is in. Not that people have them in their hands yet, but I gave it to the printer. I've done all I can. It's up now to the printer who has to do all the calculations about the shipping cost and, print up all those labels, label all those Geminis, and then get them all to the post office. So it's not instantaneous. That's a process. But again, when that print order is in, and they are in the midst of doing all that, then I might launch the next one. I'll put in the updates. Print order is in, so everyone knows. I mean, it's been digitally fulfilled. There you can see that the books have been made in the digital fulfillment. And then, like I said, with that print order in, my conscience is free to launch the next one.
Right. I agree with you. You got a good reputation, but I kind of want to be done with one campaign before I launch another one.
Yeah.
Especially, first, I use Fund My Comic. That's going to be my main site. I trust Luke, who runs it, and they only let you have 2 open campaigns anyway. Okay. So I reserve the right to have another one, but as of right now, I don't need it. So one campaign at a time. So have you ever looked into Fund My Comic at all?
Yeah, I looked into that on Indiegogo. It's just that with the number of releases I'm trying to do, running the separate campaigns on each, unless they're all concurrent with each other, and then that's a little confusing for people on where to back. That's what's held me back a little bit from doing that. And
plus your fan base has to look for you on Kickstarter.
Yeah, there are drawbacks to doing a line of books. Because this line of books, we have 6 books right there. That's going to save people on shipping.
Right.
If you were to back each of those books and do what appears to be a normal amount that I'm getting charged for other people's books, $10.
Right.
That's a lot of postage. And doing these 6 books all together and saving on that postage, to me, is a big plus. But in practice, when I do run a single book, it does seem to perhaps generate more interest just by the fact that there's that focus of what, I don't have to explain 6 books.
Right.
People's attention span to hear about this one book, get hooked on that concept and want it, and seemingly pay less because now you're paying for one book and that shipping. That's an attractive thing to people. Let's say you laid out $10 book, $10 shipping, $20, and then you get this one book. And if you had $50 to get the 6 books, and then the $12 shipping per book
Yeah.
is a lot less, but it's 70 or $62 rather than laying out $20. It's just, whatever.
So is this your policy then to do like, six, 5, 6 books at a time in each campaign?
I don't always do that, but you know, uh, sometimes again, in doing a comics line, I don't want to keep for me, I guess I could wait. I've been sitting on some books for a while. So, but when I have the other creators in Thunder Zone, I don't want to keep everyone waiting for their turn. And one by one, again, in your last episode, Mike was saying how he goes to that convention, and there's a guy who had issue 1 last year, and there he is sitting there with issue 1. To have that one issue per year, I can't recall the story. Sometimes if you're doing it that slowly, I guess there's a reason why comics in the newsstands were monthly, in the fact that people were able to kind of keep track, and
I'm of the opinion that comics should come out quick.
Yeah.
It should be a quicker medium. I of course can't do monthly yet. Maybe someday in the future, but so I'm trying to do it as quick. I had 2 issues in a year, but I'm hoping I could do better than that this year. You obviously do more than 2 issues a year. Look at this. You got 6 issues. This is your first campaign of the year. How many do you plan on having more campaigns this year?
Well, I was going to do an asterisk to my last statement in the fact that I do have a book, an Easter special. Okay, I've had Law and Order Christmas special, Law and Order Halloween special, Law and Order Summer special, and I have an Easter special, and I'm going to have to kind of break my own rule in the fact that I'm going to have to launch that, if anyone's going to get this book by Easter, right after this campaign, without the print order, because I do have to wait for surveys and everything. Again, a track record of 14 campaigns, timely fulfillment. I'm going to, I guess, hang my hat on that and say, give me this one grace so that I can get you this book by Easter. And I'll run that campaign prior to the print order being in for this one. Because again, that's just like a seasonal thing. Normally I would never do that.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm in the middle of writing a Christmas story, and I want to see if I could get like a short comic out in people's hands by Christmas. So I think it's fun to give yourself a challenge like that, work on a deadline.
Sure.
Yeah.
And who wants that in February, right? So you
right. So you got
it's a challenge to do that, but it's part of the fun of comics, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. As soon as we're done talking, I'm going to go back to working on that. Yeah. So an Easter story that people. There's always a Christmas comic. There's always a Halloween comic. I know I'm wrong saying this. I know I'm wrong, but I've never heard of an Easter comic before. So is this your first one?
Yeah, this will be my first one. Again, the Law and Order books have been the ones that I've been tackling the holidays with. Argo 5 never really had a Christmas special because I never really committed to a certain month for any of those releases. But yeah, with the other with that particular series, it just became the running gag, I guess, to always do some type of holiday. The summer special isn't particularly a holiday. I didn't make that the 4th of July special or anything, but so far Christmas and Halloween, and now this will be the Easter one.
Okay, cool. So, all right. All right, and that's going to be just a solo campaign.
Yeah, that'll be a solo campaign. Uh, I did have, let's see. Yeah, like the Sorority of Power was a solo campaign because I had a trade collecting the first 6 issues, and then I just had an extra Kickstarter exclusive issue 16 in that campaign. So on occasion, I've just run a single issue. I had a crossover with My Impact International and Punt Press's Globalist. So that was Impact International versus Globalist. That was a single book that did quite well. But, we had add-ons because that actually acted as issue 3 of both our books. So because he had 2 issues out of Globalist, I had 2 issues out of Impact International, and we released this crossover book and put like one version of the cover would have Impact International number 3, one version of the cover had Globalist number 3, so people were able to get 2 copies of that and file them in both their titles in their collection.
All right, I'm going to make the screen big, and I guess we'll talk about this campaign. All right.
Okay.
So here we go.
Let's see. I go to the screen and scroll. Is that how?
You want to play the trailer?
Oh, video. Okay. Ready?
Yep. And then hit the little bottom.
Whether he's a boy, whether she's a girl, one thing they'll do is save the world. Whether she's a woman, whether he's a man, one thing they'll do is take a stand. There's no comics, where there's heroes of all kinds. Thunderzone Comics, amazing stories across time. And away we go. Comics, where there's heroes of all time. Thunderzone Comics, amazing stories across time.
Thunderzone Comics returns. 5 all-new comics: Sumo Boy, Weirdo, Marshall Strong, Big House Blues, and Supercross. Plus a free how to draw characters from the Thunderzone. When you back all 5 new releases, the Kickstarter campaign is live now.
Thunderzone Comics.
Was that Doc Blaylock's voice?
No. Jerome Hines,
Okay.
the creator, put that together. So.
Okay. All right. So take us through this campaign.
Okay. Let's see. I'm scrolling, but is it working?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking at Sumo Boy right now.
Yeah, Sumo Boy. This is a first issue for Sumo Boy. Now, Sumo Boy, Big House Blues, and Weirdo, I had some of the material serialized in Antarctic Press's Exciting Comics. So there was a preview of these titles there, but they weren't. The full story was not in those books. So now you're getting the full stories, and they kind of chopped them up for this anthology over there. So now they're in full issue format, the way they were supposed to be presented. Sumo Boy, we had Rafael Angelis and Alexander Coelho doing the art, Bruno Costa doing the colors, and myself doing the lettering. Uh, that was the Raphael Langelis cover, and this was a painted cover we have by Alexandre Nascimento. And basically, I get into the origin in issue 2, tied into a Japanese myth. But basically, Sumo Boy is super dense.
Okay.
So he weighs 1 ton.
One. Jeez.
That way, he has increased strength because of that. And, I didn't really have like I guess back in the day, we used to have a lot of kids in comics with Richie Rich and Hot Stuff and all these guys. So didn't really have anything like that in Thunder Zone. And it's not like a kiddie comic, but a little more all ages perhaps than some of the stuff I've done on Argo Comics, which really isn't like kiddie material. So we have a preview here. He's starting in a new school. And I try to maintain the ideas of if you were 1 ton, you can't just ignore that fact and say, okay, he's sitting in a desk at school. He's thinking about how he has to concentrate with sumo training to squat and hold his body weight up.
So it's not like the Vision. It's not like he could control his weight. He's constantly.
Yeah, he's constantly 1 ton.
Okay.
And it's looking at this pretty girl broke his concentration. And
so when he grows up, is he going to be even heavier?
No. Again, the Japanese mythology that surrounds him will pretty much keep his weight
Okay.
Consistent throughout his life. So he weighed that much pretty much all his life so far. And here he's meeting up with a, just like Archie has his Reggie, we have a little mischievous kid that's at the school. And, just a little taste. I wanted to give preview pages of all the books just so people get a little look into what it's all about.
Right.
But most of these previews don't have the action that comes later. And Weirdo, we're up to number 2 now. So Weirdo number 1, again, that was in the Thunder Zone campaign. This has a little type of Akira tribute.
Right, that's the Akira homage.
On this cover by Eduardo Viena, who does the interior art. And this is another homage, actually, by Sullivan Soud. And Weirdo has.
He reminds me of the Creeper from Steve Ditko.
Yeah, he is agile like that, but he has more of a dimension traveling power.
Okay.
Where he's able to travel dimensions, and kind of like in the aspect of like Looney Tunes, where like Bugs Bunny would pull out something from behind his back. He's able to jump into another dimension or pull something through a portal as needed. So he has that, a battle yo-yo that he uses, a sentient scarfy that is around his neck. He can levitate, so he can't fly, but he can levitate upward. There's issue 1 already went into his origin and how he became the Weirdo. So issue 2, we can go more into the madcap, zany adventures that Weirdo has. and preview art, where we see the debut of the Weirdo Mobile.
Okay. And this is an original character that you made up.
Yes. Gets pulled over. And yeah.
The artist. I like the art on this and the.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Eduardo Vienna, he drew Thunderguard #1 in or #2 in progress right now.
Yeah, I got Thunderguard 1. I enjoyed it. Okay, I thought I recognized the art.
Yeah. Actually, Weirdo had a cameo in that. But
So he's more like Oscar says he's more like the Mask.
yeah, I would say more so like the Mask.
It's funny because that was what in our V&V game. I keep thinking that you played with us, but you never played with us. Have you ever played Villains Vigilantes or?
No, me and Cam and our friend Mike played Dungeons and Dragons.
You never played with. I had a non-play character called the Toon, and
Okay.
he was like a superhero, but with all the cartoon powers, So
There's actually a friend of mine, Alex Dua, who has NRG Comics, and he has Toon Man, which is supposed to be like a 40s cartoon
okay.
type character that's brought into the real world. But yeah, no, actually, yeah, I mean, Creeper and the Mask weren't books that I regularly picked up, but what I did really like was a now defunct character called Freakazoid.
Yeah.
So, there's probably that being a bigger influence on me with this concept over Creeper and the Mask. Though I like the Mask movies, but
Yeah, I only saw the first one. Yeah. All right, so let's keep going with this. Oh, here we go.
we got Marshall Strong, which again, your last episode, Mike went over in a better detail than I would be able to be, but I think it's fun that he has his friend here.
Yeah, that's Magnum. That's my friend Paul's character.
Yeah. And yeah, that is by Eldon Tomasi, who does the interior.
Yeah, I like that. This next cover has all of my friends. Yeah, this is all my friends' characters. Yeah. Right in the middle there with the gun, that's Marshall. That's Michael's character. And then we got Magnum, Paul's character. And in the front is Kid Nemesis. That's another character that Michael played.
And then, that's what I was going to say. I thought Kid Nemesis was his as well.
Yeah, and then the Spartan was another character Michael played. Then the female there is Eric's character. That's Star Tide. And then the big golden guy was why am I forgetting his name? But he played Gloom, and he played Glare rather, and he had this suit of armor that generated photons and all this, and he did all these lights. He wasn't that big, but I guess the artist took liberties with him and made him a big armored guy. But that's Glare, and Jerry. Why did I forget his name? Jerry. And then below him is Jimmy's character Oni, who in the games died a very horrible death. He was the first player character that died.
Oh, the red character?
Yeah, the red character. But he's an immortal demon, so Jimmy doesn't know it, but he's still around. And if Jimmy, if you're watching this, pretend you didn't hear that.
Yeah, no, but I agree. That's a great cover.
Yeah. The only thing that stinks, Dan, is me being the game master. I don't have any characters to throw in this cover. Like none of those characters I got to play. I played all the bad guys because I made up the stories. I played all the cops and civilians and cops and school teachers. So none of my characters are making this cover. It's all my friends, but not me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's. I think Mike was usually the dungeon master, and me and Cam were the players.
Oh yeah, when you play D&D?
Yeah, but
you're not inspired to make any comics about your D&D stories or anything?
No, I did have a character, Ultro the Paladin, and I did borrow the name for an Ultro character who's part of my Team North America, but he's not a paladin in that. and I do have a team called the Paladins, but
Okay.
that's not tied into Dungeons and Dragons at all. So yeah, there wasn't a lot of crossing over in that. And I like sword and sorcery comics, but I don't find myself particularly inspired
Okay.
to do them.
But that's funny then that you played Dungeons and Dragons and then you made superhero comics. You never played the villains of
Yeah,
even though you knew what it was, right?
yeah, villains and
Next time
vigilantes.
you come to New York, we'll make a character. You make up the Argo 5 guys or something. Put you through.
Yeah. No, there was someone who had some website where he, I think, did role playing stats on various indie comics, and I saw Argo 5 and Argo Comics characters on that. That was a while back. I don't even know if that site's still functional. And then, yeah, as well, that one was Eldon Tomasi. So all Mike's variants are by Eldon, being that he's the interior artist of the book, and he just kept having great ideas for Eldon to tackle.
Yeah.
So
This intrigues me because I can't think of this comic is based on an adventure that we had, an epic adventure. I don't want to spoil or anything like that, but it's also filtered through Mike's mind and then changed a little bit. So I'm trying to figure out what the scene is, who that guy is. You know what I mean? I haven't read. I read 1 and 2. I haven't read 3, 4, and 5 and 6 yet. So I'm really, really curious. I love that cover.
Yeah, no, he's going to do kind of a damsel in distress type thing.
Right.
And, I guess thematically it ties into the issue without being like a scene from the book. I think Mike mentioned as much in the episode where he was on. So, yeah, Demented Doctor, cover by Eldon Tomasi. And basically, there are people who just back for every cover, and
That's me.
kills
Every cover.
Yeah, but other people basically in the survey, and I've done this with another campaign where I have just one window open with the campaign and then one window open with the survey. And, rather than just say you're getting cover A and pay us extra for B or C, we just, within the survey, the multiple choice question, which cover do you want? And, we'll have cover A, Take Aim, cover B, Apex Heroes, cover C, Demented Doctor, and people just click on whichever cover.
Right. So you could get other issues. You could get issue 1 and 2 of Marshall Strong if you missed it. Issue 1 of Weirdo. Yes. Yeah. So you could catch up on everything too.
Well, that's the add-ons where it just says any book, as Mike
Right.
was explaining. Yeah, you can pick 1 and 2. You can pick Big Ass Blues. Maybe you already got 1, but you didn't get 2 and 3. The 2, 3, and 4. You just put whatever value or number of issues that you want, and then in the survey, we'll just say which add-ons do you did you want, and then people can do that. And then we have the Marshall Strong preview pages.
Yeah.
So Eldon,
It's funny because I don't want to give too much away, but this story that Mike is writing about right now, my Christmas story is tied to this story if it goes the way it went in our role playing game.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so I can't spoil both stories. So just I'm hoping. But then again, I didn't read. I should ask Mike if I could read issues 3, 4, and 5, and 6. I'm sure he has the files. Because I don't want to write anything that contradicts what he did. You know what I mean? That would
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
I understand that.
And Big House Blues. This is I love this concept. It's a prison for superheroes or supervillains, and all the guards are also superheroes.
The corrections officers are superheroes, and all the prisoners are supervillains that through power dampening collars and special isotopic bars and special cells, they're all contained in this mega villain reformatory, as they call it, in Texas. So,
of course, it's Texas.
Yeah, this cover Raphael Langelis. We see some menacing character with a shiv, but obviously it's a special shiv.
Yeah, it's not a normal knife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's collar ain't working.
Yeah, apparently so. And here's the prison riot.
I love that tiger character. What's his name?
Tiger Man.
Yeah, I just think that design is awesome.
Yeah, we have Officer
so
Alloy.
have their own names. So what's the black guy's name? What's his name?
Well, they're all corrections officers. So I call him Officer Alloy, but his regular superhero name is just Alloy.
Okay.
Same thing with Officer Tiger Man. It's, it differentiates them from some of the other characters that are out there, probably, if, there's so many names that are taken.
But that is a cool design. I like that mask.
Yeah, Tiger Man, and then the White Knight. So those are three of them. There's a number of corrections officers, of course, but just within this issue, these three are trying to handle these inmates, which again, it does tie into a story, but not really so much on the preview pages that I have here, because again, it's just the beginning of the story in the preview pages. This is a special tier we have where you can have yourself or maybe a villain character you have in one of the cells. So we haven't completed this cover. It's going to be fully drawn and inked, and people will be able to have themselves or their character on this special cover. But here's the preview pages where.
And who's this artist?
This is Ron Charles Williams.
So I got to ask you then, like, do you have a stable of artists and colorists that you use? Like, do you have long-term contacts?
Yeah. Ron is he came on with issue 2, because in the indie market, even in regular comics, how often do we have like one artist do 3 issues, then they're on to another artist, and another artist comes in on the series? So, other commitments may keep an artist from fulfilling like a full series.
Yeah, because I got a bunch of scripts, and I work with Renzo Rodriguez mostly. He's a workhorse. He's teaching more pages today. We got a good working relationship, and then Oscar does my colors. He's so good, and Oscar's good. He's gonna draw one comic and then hopefully draw another after that. But I got a lot of stories, and it's kind of like herding cats to keep artists focused on a project. So I got to commend you for having 22 years of working with artists. Now, you don't have to name names, but have you ever had the guys that you were like, this guy was, you got 3/4 of a story, then he ghosted you and he had to start all over again, or anything like that?
Well, we are, of course, the, as I said, garage indies. So, and we want the best talent. So with that best talent, there may be a image project or being called up to the big leagues of the big two,
Right.
which, you can't be like, hey, keep keep drawing my book. Forget that. The X-Men can wait.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in that respect, yeah, it's happened. But again, in looking even with the mainstream books, you will see those issues that are divided between artists. So I've never, I think the indies, we get caught up in this idea that the whole thing has to be one artist. We hold ourselves to at higher, I wouldn't even say higher because I don't necessarily think that it's always better, because Argo 5, I did have like issue 37 to 50. We have Leo Gundam. So that's a big stretch for an indie artist.
Right.
But the issues prior to that, you got to see a variety of artists, different takes on the characters, which, I find enjoyable. And, it gives you a little variety, unless the quality went down. So I, of course, am just hiring people whose work I love. So, I don't, in my mind at least, encounter that problem.
Yeah. I agree with you. Like, I would like to have one artist per story. Like, like Heroic Tales 1 had 2 stories and I had 2 different artists. Heroic Tales 2 had 2 stories, but the same artist. I mean, Renzo is my number one guy. Like, if I could clone Renzo and make 20 comics a month, they would all be Renzo, but let's be realistic. But there's a couple, like Ron Mosicki did my backup story. He's drawing another story for me right now. But I'm working with I got one guy who's a newcomer, but man, is he so enthusiastic and everything like that. But they take time, Yeah. And plus, I'm sure you get the same thing. They got day jobs, they draw at night because, let's face it, I don't know about you, but what I'm paying them isn't making them quit their day jobs, So but it's just so much fun, and I envy you that you're able to have a campaign with 6 different comics on it and do it multiple times a year, But maybe in 20 years I'll be able to do it too. But as of right now, no.
Yeah, well, again, I didn't start with this many.
Right. Yeah,
I was doing it all Indie Planet, so I wasn't even on Kickstarter. I guess it was prior to Kickstarter actually when I started. So,
are you still going to conventions?
The conventions, since moving, I was regularly at New York Comic Con, and since moving, I haven't really explored the cons that are down here. I'm looking into it.
Like Heroes Con is a big one, but that's North Carolina. I don't know. Florida is a long state, so I don't know how far away you are from that.
Yeah, I'm up north.
Oh, you're up north. Okay.
Yeah, so Heroes Con I once did while from New York.
Oh, okay.
So
Because I would like to get, because I got a week's vacation. So I think this is weird. I got a week's vacation between now and April that I got to use. So when is Heroes Con?
I'm not sure. Mike would know that one.
I got to find out, because maybe the point is moot. And then after that, I'm gonna have like a bunch of weeks. It's just weird. My job is weird sometimes. I got a week's vacation between January and April.
Okay.
What am I gonna do? I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll go to a Comic-Con.
Yeah, well, there's New York. There's plenty of them. So
yeah. There's a local. Have you ever been to the Hot Flips?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if it's new or what, but it's a monthly convention, and it's small, and I think it's in Babylon. You know where that is. So I think I'm going to start out small and see if I can get into Hot Flips and I don't want to jump into a big convention and, you know, find out that I'm no good at it or whatever, or bite, what's the expression? Bite off more than I can chew. So I'll start out small.
No, I was living around there, but it wasn't going on when I was down there.
And then Eternal Con, I'll try that one too.
Yeah.
Eternal Con is a fun one. All right, so let's go through the campaign. And then
I used to go to that Rockville Center Holiday Inn one that you guys were talking about.
Yeah, they don't have it anymore.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a good one. They had big names. That was when I was a kid. I would just hop on the bus and go to that one. I remember that one very, very fondly. That was a good convention.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Actually, then we started going to, myself and Cameron, to those shows in Manhattan. There was one, they used to be at a closed down church, which I believe is the one he was talking about, where Jack Kirby was.
Oh, okay. I know it. They have the New York Comic Con, but I got to say the last couple of times that I went, I was a little disappointed because it was more movies and pop culture. But they have Big Apple Con, which is the low budget, big Manhattan kid. But that's all comic books.
All across from Penn Station, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I took my wife to Comic Con and she loved it because it was all movies and everything like that. And the panels were a lot of fun. They talked about TV shows and stuff. So she loved it. So she was like, I want to go with you to Comic Con. So I was like, okay, great. We're going to go to Big Apple Con next. And it was like, the typical comic book convention, like old guys with like a shoebox full of cash and arguing over prices. And she said to me, John, if you had taken me to this convention first, I never would have went to another convention.
Yeah, it's definitely a different mood. But,
yeah, that is a comic book convention. That is for people who want to make deals and get good old comics. Whereas Big Apple, or New York Comic Con, I don't know. That's like, I don't know, Hollywood meets pop culture.
Yeah. Like I said, early on, after it started, I started getting a table there. So I had a pretty good run at that show, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. But yeah, then, like I said, with the move, I haven't
How long did you move?
explored what's around here. There's Pensacon, I know, which is in Pensacola, which is one of the biggest shows in the area. But I still have to.
Dan, when did you move? When did you leave New York?
It was right on like 23, like
Okay, I thought it was.
very beginning of 23.
Okay, I thought it was longer than that. I thought you moved earlier.
Yeah, no, 22, December of 22. I
Okay.
finished over there and got over here. But this page here, they're showing that the heroes are on strike, or the corrections officers are on strike. So that's why those heroes don't have their badges on.
Okay.
And a news report here. Reporter is asking one of the locals about all this, and interviewing one of the passerbys who sounds like the type of guy who might say something like, "This boy ain't right." But I can neither confirm nor deny that guy deals in propane and propane accessories.
Yep. That's the first thing I thought of.
Then, we have Arthur Alloy is still on duty, talking to some of the heroes who are on strike.
Okay.
So, again, we built up to this, and this is issue 4, so there was talk of this happening previous issues.
Okay.
And now we have Supercross number 5. So basically, the books we've been looking at, I went through in issue 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we kind of put them just in that order. Any new release we'll put just at the top just so people immediately see that, and then they can kind of go towards stuff they're more familiar with. Supercross number 5, that's Jerome Hines in Singapore, doing that book and doing the art. So these are a bunch of Singapore teenagers who have superpowers.
Okay.
And this on the left-hand side in red is Singapore Sling, who was in the Thunder Guard book. So that's how you can see that these characters are coming together and all in the same universe. And this was a variant cover by Nani Faroum.
Somebody you're really kidding wants to know who did the coloring on that cover.
Yeah, that's in the credits, but I don't recall because, again, Jerry did the production on this.
Okay. Yeah, the colors are really nice.
Yeah, I know he does his own colors on his own cover. So he might have
Both of them.
jumped in and did this as well, I imagine. And then we have preview pages. I believe it's a 6-issue story arc. And he didn't just do his first few pages. Jerry just showed some different scenes from throughout the book.
Cool.
And when you back all 5 of those, we have a free how to draw characters from the Thunder Zone. And again, Jerry is his own artist in his book. So he goes over some of the tips and tricks just for drawing, like in general. Really some, I mean, I drew Argo 5 number 1 and never went back.
Oh, really? Just one issue?
Yeah. I knew with my speed, I would never be able to publish regularly if I tried to continue drawing the series.
How long did it take you to draw one issue?
You know what? You guys were talking about this last episode where you redo the issue.
Right.
I didn't redo the whole issue, but I kept redoing pages. And when you were trying to figure out what that saying is, I was saying to myself, perfection is the enemy of progress.
Right. Yeah. 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 I do believe that. And if you, the person who I'm talking about is probably watching tonight, and I know he knows I don't mean it in a mean way, but like, it looks good. You can hand that in. You can hand that in. That looks good, but when I'm writing, by the time, if I send it to you, Dad, but pretend you're my artist, if I send you the story, that's it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to pull it out of your hands and rewrite it, but I see the temptation, and that'll just, it'll drag you down. And I know, like, George Lucas was constantly meddling with Star Wars. It's like, leave it alone. It's done. It's done. At some point, you got to call it done and move on.
Yeah, I mean, I could have had an artist redraw number 1 that I drew myself.
But that's it. That's the issue. You drew it. Yeah.
It's
I'm sure Jack Kirby would have loved to redraw some stuff, but
I always remember Todd McFarlane saying, this is the book drawn with the 1-month deadline.
Right.
Okay. If you are going to give me 3 months, I'm going to give you a different looking book.
Right.
That's not the business of comics. Comics are a serialized adventure that comes out with some regularity. So, yeah, in that respect, you do have to kind of let it go, move on. If you want to remaster it a little bit for a trade, do that. But don't, just get,
I met John Romita Sr. I went to his house. One of my coworkers was his next door neighbor, and he brought me over to meet, and we sat and talked, and he said that he was a perfectionist, and he always wanted to fix his art, always wanted to fix, but just like you said, he had a monthly deadline, and he said he was erasing at the last possible minute and redrawing. He said, like, literally the editor was like, come on, I need these. And he was, and Sal Buscema walked up to him and said, Johnny, I never want to catch you erasing again. He goes, whatever line you draw, use it for something. He goes, but it's a business. It's a fast-paced business. We're not putting this in the museum. Let's go. And he said he got scolded by Sal Buscema, probably one of the only people who could scold John Romita Sr.
Sure.
But he said he never forgot that. He goes, I always did my revisions without anybody seeing.
There you go. Well, yeah, I guess with their bullpen style, where they're doing it in front of each other, you're gonna have.
I follow the Crusader Substack. He posted today an article talking about how great art is killing the storytelling. Okay, I misread that wrong. Okay, when I read it out loud, it didn't make sense in my head. Yes, to me, storytelling is the all important part. I think without, and that to me is the art telling the story. Now, if the storytelling is awful, it doesn't matter how great the art is. And the example that I use is Howard Chaykin. Like, if you read those American flags, man, each panel is beautifully drawn and rendered so well and inked to perfection, but it almost doesn't match up with the panel right before it. And you need to really read the dialogue, but American Flag is worth the work. And then you had early Image comics that, the storytelling was non-existent. Each page, it was just a cool pose, and then the next panel, that is just the worst example. I'm not a big fan of early Image. Are you? I don't mean to hurt your feelings if you are.
Yeah, no, I am actually. I could see that. Yeah, there are people who.
Yeah, I'm an old fogey, and it seems like in this crowdfunding sphere that it's 90s Image centric, and so I guess I'm the outlier. I'm an 80s Marvel guy. But,
yeah, I mean, I had years, of course, of the big two prior to Image coming out, so I think visually more so than stories, there were things I really appreciated within the Image comics. But some of them actually, like Alan Moore had a line that I guess eventually folded into Image ABC Comics.
Right, those are so good. I love those comics.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, we were talking about early Image. So early Image, I think, had great characters, great layouts, and some of the best art going at the time. For me. But yeah, as far as I was gonna say one thing, as far as that comment that was made, the indie artist and writer. Okay. The writer, again, we have these artists who are perhaps doing it part-time, have a day job. They, bang out this page that didn't have exactly what you wanted, but still works.
Right.
So you have to be a little open.
Oh, yeah.
And not so married to the idea of, what you had in your mind, unless you think it was some super important linchpin of the story.
I agree 100%, and it's kind of fun. Well, I knew you drew, but I thought you drew more than the one issue. So you like me, you're the writer.
Yeah.
Send out the script to this artist, and I don't know how you deal with it, but I get like one page back at a time. Like Renzo sends me some thumbnails and some sketches. Oh, that looks great, and then he finishes it. And sometimes I'm looking, and I'm like, that's different, but it still works. And then when I get all of the comic, or when I get all the pages, Oscar colors them, and then I rewrite the script because it's different. It's different than what I wrote on the page. Sometimes the panels are in different orders because Renzo saw it a different way. Sometimes I don't know, maybe there was a miscommunication, but so each comic gets written, twice at least. I send the script, and then I call it the lettering script, and then Bill lettered, and then even Bill, my letterer, changes things around. That sounded awkward.
Well, that's to your credit, though, because I've seen it, where you could tell that whatever he wrote in the script, it didn't match with the artist, but he kept that dialogue because, that's the script.
Yeah.
And there is no revision. And you'll occasionally see that in the comic where you could tell, like, okay, the words aren't matching up with what's going on. So
no, I'm not Shakespeare. You know what I mean? I gotta make it make sense too. Like I wrote a joke in Heroic Tales 2, and Renzo changed the paneling around so that the joke. So I just left out the whole joke, and the page still worked. But I'm not going to be like, no. This is what I wrote. Who am I? I'm nobody. I'm an amateur. So Renzo's professional. So if he drew it that way, I trust him over me.
That's the flexibility that's needed, for indie comics. But here's all the books that are available, and then we have another tier where it's all the covers of all the books. So you can get, just in one tier, save some money by getting every cover of the new issues. And then we have a tier where we will give you every book, 29 books that Thunder Zone has put out thus far. And these tiers are available in digital or print. So everyone can back as they see fit with that.
Yeah, I was dragged kicking and screaming into a digital tier. I had a couple of guys from Europe who were just like, I'd love to back it, but if it's not digital, I don't want to pay $30, $40 shipping. I was like, you got me. Now I'm so happy when I sell a digital because all I do is send a file. I don't have to pack everything up and go down. It's like, oh yes, digital. Thank you.
Yeah, no, there is the advantage. I mean, I'm with you though. I
like a physical book.
Reading paper. Yeah. Should we exit this screen then? Let's see.
Oh, okay. You want to exit the?
Okay.
Yeah. So
again,
I was going to say, I'm going to wind it down. Usually I keep these to an hour, but we're about an hour 15 because I go off on tangents. So
I'm just going to show that I should have been jumping in on that last episode because
Wonder Man,
one of my favorites, Wonder Man.
Yep, in our group, Wonder Man was pretty popular. I know he's one of Mike's favorite characters, Mike D, who was just on last night. He's one of my favorite characters.
But this was my favorite when you guys were discussing the different costumes.
Yep.
I like this red, they call it a safari jacket.
Yeah.
It kind of like set him apart from, other super strong characters, such as this custom one that I had made myself before Marvel Legends came out.
Oh, you made that's Doc Samson, yeah.
Yeah. So at the time there was no Marvel Legends Doc Samson. So I had to
that's another character I've always liked, was Doc Samson.
Yeah, make my own. This custom I did not make, but I picked up this custom. I figured I had to show you this one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got a Count Nefaria. They finally made one.
I finally made one. I had this for years prior to them making one, because just like yourself, that was my favorite Avengers story.
Oh really? That's your favorite too?
Yeah.
Oh okay. Yeah.
So I said I need. Again, they hadn't made it yet. They just made it recently, but
Right. Yeah.
needed a
Where was I?
Count
I
Nefaria.
think I was at a Turtle Con, and I was walking out, and the booth right by the door had all Marvel Legends figures. And I said, "Is that a Count Nefaria?" I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, yeah, and it was the last day of the convention too, so I managed to talk the guy down in price. But so,
Okay.
yeah. But
Yeah, I did pick up the standard one, even though I had that custom one.
Yeah, there was a guy that made customs, and I got to say, at the height of my toy collecting, I spent a little too much money making custom figures, and now they made them all. All I had to do was wait another 5 years, and they would have made them all.
Yeah, they seem to like get around to most of them these days. But I've of course made my own characters, which Marvel Legends isn't going to get around to them, nor will McFarlane. That's the only way.
Well, I 3D printed a Patriarch.
Oh, okay.
I found a place that makes sculpts pretty inexpensively. And now I have a file. You could make it big, you could make it small. I never painted it yet, but I should paint it. I want to get a Mary Sue next. Oscar has a great comment. He says, a defensive artist, sometimes a writer wanted 10 panels page with a novel and a dialogue. I feel attacked in that, but I don't think I use a lot a dialogue. I try to do the Will Eisner. Like, if it's a comic book, Superman will say something, Lex Luthor will respond, and maybe I'll have if it says like, how are you doing today? Fine. Okay. Maybe that is the most I'll do it in a panel. But I have to say, like, in description, I'll put a lot of description in a panel. And I know Oscar has been like, that's too much for one panel. You gotta break this. You should only have one focus per panel. So I like that Oscar will, because he's a professional. He's been doing comics for a long time. So, so he'll like, this is why I'm going to break this up into 2 panels. And I'm like, yeah, I trust Oscar and Renzo over me. Yeah, Claremont. Oh my God, Claremont could. He's close to like Purple Prose. He'll just fill a. I used to joke that Chris Claremont was paid by the word, and then you could read like
you do see that indie that comes out sometimes that just, there's barely room for the art. And
yeah, there's one comic, and the guy's a good guy, so I don't want to say anything bad, but I was just like, dude, you could have gotten rid of 70% of the words in this comic.
Well, they used to say that you should be able to look through the comic and follow the story without
words. That's storytelling. That if you should be able to, and that's one of the things that I do when I get the art from Renzo, and I get the whole page. Usually it's colored by that point, and I'll just tell my wife, tell me the story. And the first time I asked her, she didn't understand what I was talking about, but now she understands. Could she? And I believe that you should only use words to convey information that cannot be told through the art. So I'm trying. Mike Barron told me to use as few words as possible, and I thought that was crazy advice. But I'm starting to see the winds. Who am I to argue with Mike Barron?
Yeah, well, I mean, but your collaborators, Renzo and Oscar, are both just mega talents.
Right, right. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky that these guys will put up with me and my nonsense.
You're gonna, get the storytelling in straight, and that everything's gonna, make sense.
Well, when you write your scripts, like, do you do it Marvel method, or do you break it down panel by panel and page by page?
I do break it down panel by panel, and even though I'm not drawing the comics anymore, if there is something I really had in mind, I can do these thumbnails and kind of direct the artist into what I'm looking for or even make edits and show them like I think this would have worked better than that. And you get the feedback though. They are the artist. You're paying them for a reason. So
Right.
it's not like
I drew one because I thought it was a really bizarre concept. So I actually drew, and I can't draw, so I drew the page with
Okay.
stick figures. You know what I mean, to send it
Mhm.
to the artist, not Renzo, another guy I work with, and I can't wait to see what the pages didn't come back yet. I can't wait to see what he does with that. But I also very poorly draw out the characters. Like, I don't draw out the cops and the teachers and the people getting rescued, but I draw all the superheroes and supervillains out. I like to design the costumes and everything, and then send them. And then it's fun to see Renzo and Oscar actually turn them into cool pictures instead of the nonsense that I submitted. I draw like a fourth grader.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of indie comics publishing is the fact that you have these ideas that take form into like the medium that we love so much into a full comic. And like you said, that slick design, that was part of the appeal of the conventions, is like especially an artist whose work you've admired and was such a favorite of a run they had in a book. you know like Chris Cross, I really loved his Captain Marvel run, with Rick Jones and Marvel's son.
Right? Yeah, that's one of my favorite Peter David comics.
Yeah, and so
Nobody
getting a
talks about that.
couple.
I'm glad you brought that up. Nobody mentions that run.
Yeah, I mean, I there are a lot of artists too that I've admired and gotten work from them and had pinups or covers. But I was just off the top of my head, that one came to mind as far as an Argo 5 cover. That actually early on when I just started publishing, I was able to get a pinup. Well, Bill Willingham was writing Elementals at the time, and he had Mike Leake drawing it, who came in after Bill stopped drawing it, and I was able to get pinups from both of them at a convention.
Oh wow, you got a Bill Williams, he's one of my favorite writers, and he's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, same here, and so having him, draw one of the characters, and Mike Leake draw one of the characters as pinups for Argo 5, that really, it's a fond memory.
One of these days, I would love to commission like a cover from Bill Willingham. I wonder how much you would charge for that. But that would be like a dream. Like I got Pat Broderick, one of my favorite artists, to do a cover. Michael T. Gilbert, I'm a big fan of his.
Sure.
Gustovich, you know what I mean? So I'm like, if I could get a Bill Willingham cover, oh my God.
Yeah, that was one of the better parts of being at the conventions, was that interaction with them as a person. It becomes a little tougher, especially if there's an art agent involved.
Right.
Establishing all this online, for guys like Rob Liefeld and Kevin McGuire.
Kevin McGuire. Although the ultimate, let's like if I had one golden comic book wish, it would be a John Byrne drawn comic. Oh my God, wouldn't that be the best?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean,
he would throw out my script and draw whatever he wanted. But you know what? That's John Byrne. He can do whatever he wants. That's like
no, John Byrne. Actually, George Perez was one that I was. Because, again, me and Cam used to talk when we were in junior high or so. It was just like, you're either a Byrne guy or a Perez guy. That seemed to be the...
I still say that. It's those doors, those revolving doors?
Yeah.
That's how my opinion is. Like, George Perez and John Byrne, to me, are the two greatest superhero comic book artists. in my opinion. And I'll pick one or the other depending upon what. If I looked at New Teen Titans, then George Perez is my favorite. But if I just happen to be looking at X-Men, John Byrne is my favorite. That's how close it is. You know, and then other guys like Neil Adams, of course, Bill Willingham. Bill Willingham is doesn't have the big output, but man, he's such a. I do believe that Bill Willingham led directly into like Alan Moore and all those guys. I think he's one of the most influential comic book writers that just doesn't get the credit. Well, maybe not. Maybe Fables launched him into a superstardom.
Yeah. But yeah, Alan
I know. Oscar's a big Alex Toth fan. I always say his name wrong. Is it Toth or Toth? Yeah, but I got to get to sleep. I've been up since 4 in the morning. I'm getting sleep. I was going to do some writing, but I can't write if I'm sleepy. It just turns out to be nonsense. So I'll go to bed and wake up and do some writing in the morning before work. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, just thanks for having me on, and just hoping that everyone goes and
it's fun.
Kickstarter.
It's fun to talk to you since I've known you since junior high school, and then of course life gets in the way. We kind of lost touch, and then I bump into you at a comic convention. I'm like, you make comic books? It's just so funny that I always say that the Incredible Pulp is just this like magical place. Like look at all the people making their own comics that came out of that one comic book store.
Yep.
And the guy that founded CGC, I can't remember his name, but he shopped at the Pulp also.
Okay, yeah. Ex-coworker of mine went to school with him, but yeah, I didn't know him personally.
I remember he was in the store and he was talking. Yeah, I'm going to start this company and we're going to grade comic books and and I was like, save your money. That's the stupidest idea I've ever.
Yeah, right.
That guy's a millionaire now. Don't listen to me when it comes to business, I guess. And he probably would have been like, "What are you making comic books for? Don't do that."
Yeah, you can just grade them. Why go through all that work?
But I'm gonna go to bed. Thanks a lot, everybody. See you around. Check out Kickstarter. Oh, let me put the link one more time. I'll bring it up. Check it out. You got special deals for all of them. You can get everything. Here you go. Check out Thunder Zone Comics. And at this point, I'll say goodbye, kids.